And then the other thing was I had to look after patients in the spine injury unit. And the spine injury unit had its own ventilated beds. And it was me that had to look after those patients. I had no ICU experience. So I kept calling ICU for assistance because he had patients that were intubated.
Yep.
So there was a lot of differences. It's a different training system, but it serves the needs of the local population.
Yeah, right. Welcome to Inside the Shoulder. I'm Kenneth Cutbush and I'm with Ridzwan Namazie. Rids, welcome.
Thank you, Ken.
Now, what are you doing now? You're my fellow.
Yes.
You're now an orthopaedic shoulder surgeon. Where are you now?
Well, I'm in Brisbane. I didn't leave Brisbane, as you're aware. Journey here has been interesting, but after my fellowship with yourself, there's a job opportunity that came up, and so I took it. Not too
And what
far.
job opportunity is that?
So that was in Redcliffe Hospital, and it was as a general orthopedic surgeon, but they were happy for me to pursue my subspecialty interest in upper limb and hands. So I did a lot of shoulders and hands there. Yeah. I'm not working there anymore. I did transition on. Now I'm working at STARS in public and private at Mater and Greenslopes. Yeah.
So what's STARS?
The STARS is a surgical treatment and rehabilitation service. It's a bit of a mouthful. It's an elective-only hospital. It's right next to Royal Brisbane. And it was a project with the state government to provide elective orthopedic services to the Queensland population. So we take patients largely from Brisbane, but for some subspecialties, they do take patients from outside Brisbane as well, depending where the need is. So that, for me, that's been a really useful and good experience because that's where I've managed to develop my shoulder skills.
Yeah, right. So tell me a little bit about your journey. Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
The journey's very interesting. It's quite, it's long. Some people say it sounds a little bit complex. So I was born in Malaysia, and that's
KL?
born in KL, and I grew up in two cities in Malaysia, Ipoh, which is about 200 kilometers north of KL, and then I did my high school in KL itself. So I was there for my whole throughout my whole school life, and then I got a Malaysian government scholarship to study medicine in Ireland.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So,
So a little boy from KL to Ireland.
That's right. Yeah. It was quite common at the time. So when I was growing up, Malaysia did not have enough seats in medical school in Malaysia. So the need was there for the country. But within a short space of time, between the time I got onto medical school and graduating, there had been an explosion in the number of medical spaces available for medical students. So the need wasn't as great when I finished, but the journey was still very interesting. So when I went to medical school, the government sponsored me to go to Ireland. I was there for close to 10 years. I did 5 years of medical school, then I worked there for 4.5 years before returning to Malaysia. I returned to Malaysia. I actually got onto the orthopedic program in Malaysia, but the system was very different from what I was used to. And I spoke to my old boss in Ireland and I said, look, I want to come back to Ireland. And he said to me, sure, I'm happy to give you a job, but we don't have any this year. He said, why didn't you go and work in Australia and New Zealand before coming back to Ireland? And he had done a fellowship in New Zealand. And so I managed to get a job in New Zealand with some recommendations from him. And I met my wife there. And so life then changed. So that's how I ended up in New Zealand, stayed there, did orthopedic training in New Zealand, and then came to Australia for fellowship, and I've stayed here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what's your native language?
So on paper, it's Malay. That's a Malaysian language.
Yeah.
But at home, I spoke English.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So my parents taught me English. But it's Malaysian English, but it's still English.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What's different? What's Malaysian English?
Well, there is... We use this at the end of all the sentences. We tend to add the word "la." I don't do it. You don't hear me do it.
Give me an example.
So where are you going, la?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or what are you doing, la? That's very common in Malaysia.
What's the la mean?
There's no meaning to it. It's just what you add at the end of a sentence.
Any sentence or a question?
Anything. Question, answer.
So I went to bed la.
Yeah.
Really?
That's right. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
What other idiosyncrasies are there? What else happens in Malay English?
The grammar can be a little bit different. You can mix Malay and English words, or sometimes Chinese words. and even the way you pronounce things is a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, I've been out of Malaysia for so long that I don't speak like a typical Malaysian, but when I go back to Malaysia within a few days, it just reverts back to what it was.
So your native language is Malaysian English.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But what else can you speak? Malay?
Malay. Yes.
That's it?
That's it.
All
Yes. I understand a little bit of other languages, but not enough to be actually, not functional. Just
What other language do you understand?
so my parents speak Tamil at home,
Oh, right.
so I can understand a little bit of Tamil. Yeah. I did a bit of French in school, but not enough to be conversational anymore.
Petit peu français.
Yes. Oui.
So Tamil, they're from Sri Lanka, are they?
South India.
South India?
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, got you. Uh-huh. And your parents, what did they do?
So both are doctors.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And your dad's an anaesthetist?
That's correct.
Yeah, right.
Yes. And my mum's a GP. So my dad just retired this year.
Yeah, right.
My mum still does a little bit of locums when she's in Malaysia, but they spend their time between Malaysia and Australia.
Yeah, right. Oh, they spend a bit of time here with you, do they?
Not just me, my sister as well. My sister moved to Australia a long time ago. I actually have a lot of family living in Australia.
Yeah.
And my parents are Australian residents as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when my sister moved here, my mum got residency here, and she used to spend a lot of time with my sister in Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm here in Brisbane and I've got young kids, my parents spend a bit of time here in Brisbane as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Cool. What, do your kids speak Malaysian English?
No, they don't. They can understand a few words and they make jokes about it, but they can't speak Malay. Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me, what it was like going to Ireland to study medicine? Because that's probably the first time you've been out of Malaysia.
I've been out for holidays before.
Yeah.
So my mom's actually from Singapore, not
Right.
Malaysia. So when I was growing up, we used to go to Singapore for holidays all the time. And we have been overseas for holidays, but it's the first time I've actually gone to live in another country. The good thing is because Malaysia sends a lot of students to study overseas, there's a good support network. So I met some of the Malaysians living in Galway in Ireland, where I went to, even before I left the country. And when you arrive there, there's someone to pick you up at the airport, and they have helped you with accommodation. So I moved into a house with other Malaysians. And so they just keep a room available for the incoming Malaysians. So there's a very good support network doing that. So the transition to Ireland was made easier. It was, of course, difficult that you're away from your home country, away from your family. But for me, I went to boarding school. So in a way, I was used to being away from my parents. That was quite, so it wasn't a huge shock for me.
Where was boarding school?
In Malaysia.
What was the boarding school you went to?
It's called Sekolah Alam Shah. Yeah.
What's that mean?
So Sekolah in Malaysia means school, and Alam Shah is the name, so it's Alam Shah School.
And that's in Malay, is it?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
right.
correct. Yeah.
And so English-speaking school or Malay?
It's Malay.
Malay.
Yeah.
So you learnt school in Malay.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah. So from the age of 7, apart from the English as a subject, I studied everything in Malay. Yeah.
So Ireland, you flew into Ireland. What was that like? Starting medical school there. What was the cultural shock for you? There must have been a lot.
The weather, for one, cold. And look, we were prepared. So going from Malaysia overseas, we were prepared very well for the differences. And we had a series of talks beforehand. And we went for these camps with other students and so on. So in a sense, we knew what to expect arriving in Ireland. And we had really good support from the other Malaysians there. So the weather is something we had to get used to. The accent, the Irish accent, can be quite difficult to understand, especially when you're sitting in a lecture and trying to follow along what's happening. So those are some of the challenges that we had. But overall, it's a really positive experience. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, right. So medical school in Galway.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. And then what? 6 years?
It's 5 years.
5 years.
Yes. Yeah. So there's in Ireland you can do a 5 or 6 year program. In Malaysia, we have a pre-university program. They call it matriculation. That's up between high school and university. So if you score above a certain amount in matriculation, and the interviews are actually done by the Irish universities. So if they decide at the interview that you can go straight away into an English speaking environment and be okay, then they will put you into second year, because first year is a lot of physics and chemistry and biology, a little bit of basic anatomy, but they just figure you can catch up on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So internship in Ireland, what was your first job?
It's internship in medicine. So there it was internship in medicine 6 months, surgery 6 months. So my first job was internship in medicine. And it was designed that way simply because, well, for me, I wanted to do it that way because when you do a surgical internship, you're responsible for the medical side of the patients. And so I wanted to be able to look after that side really well, not worry about that, then at least, because I already had a bit of an interest in surgery, then I can spend a little bit more time learning some surgery. Otherwise, if you do internship in surgery first and you've no medical background, you'll be spending all your time trying to figure out what to do medically for the patients. That's what I thought. So I was very happy with that. And it worked out well for me.
And which was the hospital?
So there were two hospitals. One is Castlebar, and the second was in the Galway University Hospital. So you get 6 months outside.
And where are they? Where are these hospitals?
So Castlebar is in County Mayo in Ireland.
Where's that?
That's considered in the west of Ireland, but inland from where Galway was. And then Galway is again the west of Ireland, but it's a port city. It's right by the sea. Yeah.
And then where'd you go from there?
So from there, I got in basic surgical training in Ireland, and that was between Sligo and
Did you
Dublin.
have to sit an exam for that?
At the end of it, yes. So you did an interview, get into basic surgical training, and then you've got to do the MRCS exams. So I got that as at the end of basic surgical training, and I worked in Sligo and Dublin. And you've just got to rotate through various different subspecialties in surgery. So for me, it was I started off doing orthopaedics as my first subspecialty, and then general surgery, pediatric surgery, and emergency medicine.
And then back to Malaysia.
Not straight away. So after that, I did 6 months as a SHO, and then I became a registrar in Ireland. So an SHO in Ireland would be equivalent to a PHO here.
So senior house officer, principal house officer.
Yeah, very similar. And then I became a registrar. So in registrar in Ireland, you need your MRCS exams to become a registrar, and you can either be a training registrar or non-training registrar. So I was a non-training registrar for a year, and then I went back to Malaysia and did orthopedics in Malaysia.
How long were you in Malaysia for then?
About 6 months.
Right.
Yeah.
That was enough.
That was enough.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the difference?
The working environment was different. The whole setup of how you train is different. And because I had studied medicine in Ireland and worked in Ireland, and I went back to Malaysia straight away, got into the orthopedic training program there, that it was a little bit different from actually going back to Malaysia and learning the local system. So one example is, as a first-year trainee in Malaysia, you've got to look after the patients on the ward, just as, say, PHO would here in Australia. But the patients there, you get different sorts of pathology. So I had to put central lines in on the ward, for example. Whereas in Ireland, if you need a central line, you go to the ICU or HDU environment. So the first time in my life I had to put a central line was on the ward in Malaysia. So those little differences. And then the other thing was I had to look after patients in the spine injury unit. And the spine injury unit had its own ventilated beds, and it was me that had to look after those patients. I had no ICU experience, so I kept calling ICU for assistance because you had patients that were intubated.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of differences. It's a different training system, but it serves the needs of the local population.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So Ireland for training, what was that like?
So I went to New Zealand.
New Zealand, that's
yes,
right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, so you did some time in New Zealand then?
That's right, yeah. So after Ireland, I haven't been back to Ireland to work since I left. So after Malaysia, I went to New Zealand, and I had to start pretty much all over again because I didn't have residencies. To even apply for training, you need permanent residency. And to get permanent residency, you have to be a resident for 2 years. And then you get permanent residency. Then you can apply for training.
Right.
So it took a few years before I got on. But then once I got on, 5 years training, then you're done.
Any cultural differences in New Zealand then?
Oh, there's a lot of differences. But for me at that stage, because I'd lived in Malaysia, Ireland, it wasn't too difficult trying to acclimatize or adopt to a new country because I'd done it before. So in a way, I knew what to expect. And the other thing, working in Ireland, similar to what it's like here and in New Zealand, you move around a lot. As part of your training, you move to different cities. So I'm used to packing up, leaving and setting up in a new city again, making new friends. So in that way, it wasn't too difficult. And the good thing in New Zealand is that when I landed, there's a good bunch of people that I worked with, people that I'm still friends with now.
Yep.
And some of them still in New Zealand, some of them here in Australia, and so I still keep in touch with some of them. So it was a really good experience in New Zealand.
So, what put you to go down the shoulder path? What was exciting about shoulders? Because then after your training in New Zealand,
Yes.
then came to do the fellowship here with me
That's right.
in shoulders in Brisbane.
Yes. So a variety of reasons. So first of all, when I was in training, it was really very heavily weighted towards trauma, hip and knee replacements. And for me, I'd seen a lot of it and I wanted to try something new. And so shoulders was something that you were exposed to but didn't get a huge amount of experience with. And so I found that exciting because it's something that I can keep learning and something that's new. And second thing was that one of the hospitals that I was supposed to go back to in New Zealand and work with, they wanted someone with some exposure to shoulders as well. They actually wanted me to do shoulders and spine. And so I had organized both fellowships, but in the end I didn't do the spine fellowship. So for me, it was something that I was really interested in. I was happy to do it, and the opportunity was there to work with you, and that's how I ended up doing shoulders. But it was the second fellowship that I did. The first fellowship I did was in the Gold Coast and I did hands and shoulders when I was there.
Who is that with?
So that was with Ezekiel Tan,
Yeah.
Professor Bindra,
Yeah.
Mike Thomas, Fraser
Yeah.
Taylor,
Yeah.
and a few other surgeons there.
Yeah, right. And so Australia, how was that different to everywhere else you'd been? What did the Aussies do differently?
For me, the biggest difference that I've noticed is the healthcare system here, how it's run, how it works. It's very different from what I've been used to. I find one thing in Australia is there's a rule for everything. There's a protocol for everything. There's a guideline somewhere, and it's very regulated in that sense. It's more than what I'm used to. And so that took a little bit of getting
Same as in Ireland as well, and New Zealand?
much more. There's much more regulation here than in other countries that I've worked in. And so that took that took a while to get used to. I'm sure you know, like in Australia, we see implants a little bit later than New Zealand does. Yeah, implants get launched in other countries first. And that's just one small aspect of it, but there's more red tape that I find here in Australia than in other countries.
What's another example?
Say, for example, say registering for Medicare when you first come here, the amount of paperwork you got to get through. Like we wanted to put the kids into preschool, you've got to show your vaccination certificates, and not just show it, but it's got to be loaded up online, and it's got to be verified. So all those things, I find it's more structured. There's a bit more regulation in Australia than in other places. Now, I'll give you another example. When I was in Ireland, the visa, this is going back some years ago, right? So the visa was very relaxed in the sense that I didn't have to go to an immigration office. So you land in Ireland, you get a visa as a tourist visa to stay there for a little while, and you just have to notify the local police station that you come there as a student, and one of the local inspectors was in charge of issuing the visa to us. And he said, "Oh, I can't see you for a month." And then we said to him, "Well, I'm on a tourist visa." I said, "Don't worry about it. It's fine." And so I've got your name. If anyone stops you, just tell them you've spoken to me. And so that's what happened. That's how relaxed it was. And, a month later, you go, make the appointment with him, he puts a stamp in your passport, and that's it. Signs it, and that's it. And there's times when you try and make an appointment to renew a visa with him. If he's off doing something else, he say, right, you've notified me, that's fine. Just go do what you need to do and come to me when I'm free in a month or 6 weeks later. So that's so different from what it is here in Australia. If you're one day out of your visa expiring, you'll get into trouble here.
How do you get into trouble?
Well, if you're here on an expired visa,
Yeah.
you might be, it's up to the immigration here what they're going to do for you, but do to you. But you could get asked to leave the country.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
A little bit different.
Very different. Yeah. And there's another time when I went to the UK for a holiday. This is from Ireland.
Yeah.
And I didn't bring my passport with me. And when I returned to Ireland, I'd forgotten my passport, and the immigration officer said to me, "Where's your passport?" I said, "Oh, I left it at home. I didn't realize I had to bring it with me." So pulled me aside, asked me a few questions about Galway, where I was living at the time. Said, "Right, that's fine. Don't forget your passport next time." I don't think it'll happen in Australia.
No.
No.
So someone, say someone in Malaysia now thinking of following this pathway, what advice would you give them? A young woman or a young man in Malaysia, in school, what would you tell them?
So the journey is a long journey. You've got to be dedicated. You've got to be sure this is what you want to do. I think there's a lot more information out there that's easily accessible these days compared to when I started the journey. And the journey is not always a straight path. It's got a lot of ups and downs. And when you set out to do something, you may end up doing something completely different. So what I say is be prepared to be flexible and do what you find interests you. And if your interests change along the way, it's fine. But as long as you do something that interests you. Like when I started my training in orthopedics, I didn't think I was going to be a shoulder surgeon. But during my
What did you think you were going to be?
When I started, I wanted to do spine surgery.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. But during my journey, I figured out at the end, actually, that's not what I want to do. I wanted to do upper limb shoulder surgery. So I do shoulder surgery. I do hand surgery as well.
Yeah, right. Now, what's the future going to store for you?
That's an interesting question. And what I'll say, Ken, is that throughout the years, what I've planned, when people say have a 5-year plan, have a 10-year plan, that's never worked for me. My 5-year and 10-year plan has always changed. Like when I left New Zealand in 2019, if you asked me where will you be in 2025, I would have said to you, I'd be in New Zealand, likely in Nelson. That was what my plan was. But I'm not there. I'm nowhere near Nelson. And along the way, COVID changed things. A lot happened during COVID that has changed plans, changed my fellowship plans as well. So for me, I think in the long term, what I plan is, first of all, I look at my life at the moment. I've got my medical practice, both public and private. So I put my effort into that. I've got kids that are still in school at their age 9 and 11. So I've got to do things to help them achieve something in life as well. So I've got to look after the kids. So that is what I'm doing, is planning for the next few years rather than 5-10 years ahead.
All right. And you're liking Australia? This is it now, is it? This is home?
For now, yes.
Yeah, right.
I've a bit of a history where, so I've spent the first 17 years in Malaysia, 10 years in Ireland, just over 10 years in New Zealand. So I sometimes joke with my wife and say, who knows, Australia maybe 10 years, could be longer, could be forever. I don't know.
What does she say to that?
She says that as long as we're happy, it's fine. As long as we're doing something, we're happy, it's fine.
Where's your wife from?
From New Zealand.
Where about?
Southland. Southland is the southernmost area of New Zealand.
All right, South Island.
So it's called Southland, which is part of South Island.
Yeah, right.
So it's below Queenstown. So if you go south from Queenstown, you come to Southland. That's where she's from.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to go back there?
No, she's happy here. Yeah. Well, we enjoy holidaying in New Zealand. Her parents have semi-retired to Queenstown, so we go back there once a year, and we have a great time when we're there. But what we look at from a life perspective, from opportunities for the kids, Brisbane has been good for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Mhm.
Well, thanks, Rids. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Good talking to you.
Thanks,
Good to have
Ken.
you back in. Good to see you after the fellowship here.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you for listening to that episode of Inside the Shoulder. I'm with Ridzwan Namazie, an orthopedic shoulder surgeon now working in Brisbane. Consider liking and subscribing to the podcast on your favourite podcast platform. And of course, consider subscribing to Kenneth Cutbush YouTube channel. Thank you for listening.